AI did not just make game development cheaper, it made being ignored cheaper. That is the real problem on Steam now. When thousands of developers can make art faster, trailers faster, store pages faster, and prototypes faster, players do not get thousands of extra nights to play. They still get one screen, one image, one thumbnail, one glance, maybe half a second. So the new question is not how fast can you make a game? The new question is, why would anyone click yours? That is the trap hiding inside the AI game boom. Everyone wants to talk about creation. Who can make a game faster? Who can generate better art? Who can build a prototype with fewer people? Who can ship more content with less money? Those questions matter, but they are not the bottleneck anymore. By mid-2025, nearly 8,000 Steam titles had disclosed generative AI use. That number does not mean every AI-assisted game is bad. It does not mean small developers are doomed. It means something much colder. The shelf is getting crowded faster than attention is growing. And when the shelf gets crowded, the value does not stay with whoever can make more. It moves to whoever can make strangers care. That is the value shift. The old question was simple. Can you make the game? The new question is brutal. Can a stranger find it, trust it, and choose it before they scroll away? Because AI may lower the cost of production, but it raises the cost of belief, and belief is now the real game. Let's start with the first problem, being found. Most developers think discovery starts after the game is finished. That is already too late. Discovery starts the moment someone sees one image and decides whether your game deserves half a second, not 10 minutes, not a review, not a full trailer, half a second, a capsule, a thumbnail, a title, a Steam tag, a short clip. That is where the first battle happens, and AI makes that battle harder, not because AI is useless, because AI is useful to everyone. For one developer, AI-generated concept art is leverage. For every developer, it becomes noise. For one developer, a polished trailer is a breakthrough. For every developer, it becomes the new minimum. For one developer, a professional-looking Steam page feels like an advantage. For every developer, it becomes camouflage. That is why good enough is getting dangerous. A good enough fantasy screenshot can vanish. A good enough roguelike trailer can blend in. A good enough store page can look exactly like 1,000 other store pages. And in a crowded market, blending in is not neutral. Blending in is losing. This is the first hard lesson of the AI game flood. Players do not click efficiency. They click a promise. They do not care that your art was cheaper to make. They care whether they understand the reason to stop. So the first job is not to produce more assets. The first job is to make the difference visible in 1 second. What is the one image? What is the one tension? What is the one sentence a player can repeat? Not a feature list, not a paragraph, not a cozy tactical survival roguelite with narrative systems. One sentence. You run a hotel for retired monsters. You build a city where every law changes the weather. You are the final boss trying to survive the heroes. You manage a diner at the end of the world. That kind of clarity matters more when the shelf is flooded, because when players are overwhelmed, they do not investigate first, they filter first. And if your game cannot survive the filter, it never gets to the sale. So here is the first cold start question. If someone sees your game for 1 second, do they understand why it is different? If the answer is no, you do not have a production problem, you have a discovery problem. And AI cannot fix that by giving you more versions of the same unclear idea. It may only help you become unclear faster. Now the second problem, being trusted. AI does not just create more output, it also creates more suspicion. Before AI, roughness could sometimes feel human. A strange little indie game could look imperfect, and players might say, okay, I can see the soul here. After AI, polish is no longer enough. Because fake polish has become easy. A game can look clean and still feel empty. A trailer can look dramatic and still feel generic. A store page can sound professional and still make the player think, I have seen this exact thing before. That suspicion changes the economics. Players are no longer only asking, does this look good? They are asking something more dangerous. Is this low effort? Is this copied? Is this real? Is this just generated content wrapped in a store page? That is brutal for unknown developers, because known studios already have trust. Known creators already have audiences. Publishers can transfer credibility. Streamers can create social proof. Communities can reduce risk, but an unknown developer has to earn trust before the player clicks, before the player wishlists, before the player downloads a demo. That is where the value moves. The cheaper production becomes, the more expensive reputation becomes. AI may reduce asset cost. It may reduce drafting cost. It may reduce translation cost. It may reduce prototyping cost. But the saved cost does not disappear. It moves into proof. Proof that the game is real. Proof that the mechanic is fun. Proof that players understand the hook. Proof that the developer has taste. Proof that AI helped the craft instead of replacing the craft. This is why the human part has to become more visible, not less visible. Show the mechanic, show the playtest, show what changed after feedback, show the weird choice only a real creator would make, show the moment where the game becomes fun, show the reason this thing exists, because AI can generate options, but it cannot generate credibility by itself. And credibility is what a player needs before they risk their time. This is also why disclosure and classification matter. When a platform asks developers to disclose AI use, that may sound like paperwork, but classification is power. Because once something can be classified, it can be filtered. Once it can be filtered, it can be judged before it is played. And once it can be judged before it is played, trust becomes part of the marketplace. That does not mean developers should hide AI. That is the wrong lesson. The better lesson is this: if AI is part of the process, the human point of view has to be even clearer. The player needs to feel that there is taste behind the tool, a decision behind the image, a mechanic behind the mood, a real reason behind the page. So the second question is simple. When a player lands on your page, do they feel a human point of view, or do they feel a content pipeline? That difference may decide whether they trust you. And if this framework is useful, comment belief below. Because this channel is not tracking AI hype, we are tracking where the value moves after the hype becomes normal. Now the third problem, being chosen. Even if a player finds your game, and even if they trust that it is real, they still have to choose it. That is harder than it sounds, because your game is not competing against nothing. It is competing against the player's backlog, their favorite live service game, the discounted hit they bought last month, the streamer they already watch, the game their friend recommended, the habit they already have. The question is not just, is this game good? The question is, why should I play this tonight? That is where wishlists, demos, reviews, festivals, creator coverage, Discord activity, and community clips become valuable. They reduce risk, and when players feel overwhelmed, risk reduction becomes value. This is where many AI game discussions miss the point. They focus on how much faster a developer can make something, but the player is not buying the developer's efficiency. The player is giving up an evening. That evening has a cost, so the game needs to earn the evening before it earns the purchase. Imagine a solo developer named Alex. Alex has a real idea, not a scam, not a lazy asset flip. A strange little strategy game he has been thinking about for years. Before AI, Alex could build one rough prototype. Now he can build 5. He can draft store copy. He can test trailer ideas. He can create placeholder art. He can translate the description. He can polish the page faster. At first, this feels like freedom. Alex can finally move. Alex can finally ship. But launch week arrives, and the market does not care that Alex worked faster. Some games have publisher support. Some have streamers scheduled. Some have old communities waiting. Some have recognizable IP. Some have thousands of wish lists. Some have a developer name players already trust. And Alex has a better prototype than before, but still no reason for a stranger to stop. That is the hard truth. AI helped Alex build. It did not give Alex belief. So the advice is not avoid AI. The advice is, do not let AI multiply your weakest idea. Use it to sharpen your strongest one. Do not make 5 forgettable prototypes if one clear promise would earn trust. Do not spend every saved hour producing more assets. Spend some of that time building proof. A sharper demo, a clearer Steam page, a better first screenshot, a trailer that reaches the actual fun in the first 5 seconds, a playtest clip that shows the mechanic working, a community post that makes the hook obvious, a devlog that proves taste, a creator outreach plan before launch week, not after launch week. That is the new cost, not production cost, belief cost. And belief cost is paid before launch. This is the part that sounds negative, but it is actually useful. Because if the bottleneck has moved, the strategy has to move too. A small team should not ask only, how can AI help us make more? It should ask, how can AI help us prove more? Can it help us test 10 versions of the first screenshot? Can it help us rewrite the Steam description until the promise is clear? clear? Can it help us cut the trailer so the mechanic appears immediately? Can it help us translate the page without losing personality? Can it help us prepare outreach to creators who actually fit the game? Can it help us analyze playtest feedback and find the confusing parts? That is a better use of the tool, not a content hose, a clarity machine, because the scarce thing is no longer just production capacity. The scarce thing is player confidence. This is why the winners in the AI game flood may not be the developers who produce the most. They may be the developers who make the clearest promise, the developers who show proof early, the developers who build community before launch, the developers who make one screenshot do the work of a paragraph, the developers who make players say, "I know exactly why this is different," and above the developers, more power may move to the people who control attention: Steam, streamers, YouTube creators, publishers, festivals, Discord communities, newsletter curators, anyone who helps players decide what is worth trusting. Because when output becomes abundant, filters become powerful. That is the business story. AI makes creation cheaper. Creation becomes crowded. Attention becomes scarce. Trust becomes scarce. Then value moves to the path between the product and the audience. For games, that path is not one thing. It may be the Steam front page. It may be a streamer's recommendation. It may be a festival demo. It may be a Discord community. It may be a publisher relationship. It may be a creator who already owns the audience. It may be the developer's own community. That is the shift, not from human games to AI games, from making games to making games legible, from output to proof, from production cost to belief cost. And that is why the phrase AI game flood can be misleading. The flood is not just more games. The flood is more games asking for the same human attention, more screenshots asking for the same click, more trailers asking for the same minute, more store pages asking for the same trust. And the player's day did not get longer. So when you see another headline about AI game development, do not only ask what the tool can produce, ask who controls discovery, ask who owns trust, ask where the saved cost reappears, ask whether the player sees a reason to care, because AI can make more games possible, but it cannot make every game matter. That is the line every developer, publisher, investor, and platform should remember. AI can help you make the game. It cannot make a stranger care. That part still has to be earned. And in a flooded market, earning care may become the most valuable skill of all. So here is the final question. In the AI game flood, who gains the most power? Steam, streamers, publishers, or developers who already own a community? Comment one word below, because the next big AI shift may not be about who can create. It may be about who can make strangers click. The headline is temporary. The value shift is not.